Well, I hope you learned your lesson. We told you not to fuck with us. You ran your fucking mouth too much. Now you, an elite, will feel Rockfield pain.
The lights have been turned out on the CRF. The Extreme House Wrestling Federation is taking the new EWA to a new level.
Once those two were done, that's the tape we showed everyone. We showed everyone the first 2 days.
I feel like anyone who watches it can tell that we were having a good time, doing it. I am what I am.
Okay.
I thought the tape reminded me of the kind of stuff that we've been doing all our lives, just having a good time, just goofing off.
I remember showing Junior and Brian and being so proud.
After him and Ryan made the tape, we're like, hey, we want to join in too.
Junior and Brian added a lot because they knew more about wrestling than probably me and Josh did.
It's pretty funny to see them at Ryan's house, but you gotta start somewhere.
It was a pitiful looking ring.
Nothing that I seen y'all do and made me want to join y'all.
My mom didn't like it in the first place, but I kind of did what I wanted to do most of the time.
When we were watching the tape with her, there's this part where, I don't know if it was me or Ryan, we hit the shed and it made a real big dent in it. Her face just went and I could tell that, okay, this wasn't going to last long here.
After the second day, she was pretty adamant.
I was around when you started wrestling on Ryan's roof.
We had took some pictures for the yearbook.
She had very sternly told us to not be on the roof about 10 minutes before that.
I can remember getting a phone call from the former Mrs. Cummings that you guys were not going to be able to wrestle there anymore because she specifically said, not to get up on the roof or whatever. And the next thing she knows, she sees Josh Davis jumping off the roof.
My mom did not want us to get on the roof, and we did it anyway, and she caught us up there.
For some reason, we didn't think that she could hear us walking on the roof. But it was worth it because we got a picture in the yearbook.
Wrestling took on a whole different meaning at that point at the Cummings household.
As long as we were doing anything for the wrestling, we weren't going to listen to a word she said, pretty much. So
I'm proud to say that year that I was the only person in that yearbook whose nipple you could see.
you knew after that, whenever it was time to move on to somewhere else, I guess. You kind of, not only because my mom wanted us to move, but it was better for us to move too.
The thing was, started to take a few risks to the point we were afraid somebody was going to get hurt. And ultimately somebody did.
And basketball season came, and we kind of, I was playing basketball, and so we didn't really plan to wrestle again until after basketball season.
He, for some reason, played basketball and didn't just dedicate himself to the wrestling, which I found odd at the time.
I remember we'd set a date, we were going to wrestle at Moss.
We got to wrestle at Moss because my Aunt Laura had a key and we could get in there on the weekends to where there was nobody in there. We could set up.
We had a basketball game. We actually had made it to the regional tournament, kind of had advanced to semifinals, and we lost the night before. And I actually remember not being too upset that we had lost. After the game, sitting there and you're like, well, at least I get to wrestle tomorrow now.
So then there was the Moss card.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Frenzy.
Wrestling in Moss was it was fun, wrestling with Josh and Ryan.
I know Ryan's aunt let us in, but I don't think she really understood what we were going to do.
She had a key to the gym, and she somehow had a key to the closet that had all of the basketballs, gym mats, everything.
And we got in their little storage closet and pulled shit out.
We added my cousin Nick.
It was fun. It was nice. It was cool. We set up a big stage, and it was cool because we were in school that we all went to when we were younger.
We had to have a little guy that all of us could throw around and who could be the little guy that was the high flyer. And Nick filled that role. And well.
Caswell wasn't a good wrestler at all. But then again, he served the same purpose I did. We were a good beating boy. I mean, we could take a beating pretty well.
It was really really cool to be able to wrestle in Moss. You know, it felt more like a real wrestling, you know, like you were actually putting on a real show because you're indoors, you have a ring. You know, the ring was, we actually had mats where we could, you know, do moves such, you know, suplexes or body slams, you know, stuff that we really couldn't do in my backyard.
Cheer me up, guys!
The Moss cards were definitely better than the ones in the backyard to start with. That's where the EWA kind of started coming together. Well, we added Junior and Brian.
It was great for Brian and Junior to join.
I always thought of, especially, you know, Josh as, you know, like a little brother. So if he asked me to do it, I just did it.
Junior, I mean, he, been wrestling with him for over 20 years probably. So I mean, to be able to do it on camera at the EWA was kind of like the culmination of years and years of wrestling in his backyard, in his house, and everywhere else.
Extreme House Wrestling in full effect, baby.
We had the kind of NWO angle with the Extreme House Wrestling Federation.
That was the name we gave the Holly House Wrestling, the Extreme House Wrestling Federation. We had our belt, and then I think at the time the way to get me and Junior into storylines was to say that the Extreme House Wrestling Federation was going to take over the EWA. Hey, Big Daddy.
What?
The word is that the Elite and the King of Hardcore want to challenge us to a Kentucky Street Fight Tag Team War.
Them two pussies?
You damn Skippy.
King of Hardcore and the Elite, even though they were bitter enemies, team up to go against them.
Brian and Junior were infiltrating the CRF/EWA. They were infiltrating the CRF, and what became of those two organizations, I guess, was the EWA. Is I guess how you could put it?
We had a pretty good match at Moss. I think it's the last time we were at Moss. It was the King of Hardcore and the Elite versus Big Daddy Duff and myself, the Rockville Posse.
The match we had at Moss with where King of Hardcore and the Elite teamed up against the Rockville Posse was one of the better matches we ever had.
We were at Moss. We were at a big place. We were doing crazy stuff.
Brian and I went into the hallway.
Ryan jumping off the locker. We always thought was funny.
That match was so good because we took time. We filmed from different angles.
It was like making like a little small movie, I guess.
We never did anything like that again.
For the last match, we took our time. We did it right. It sucked anyway. I mean, you look at it, it was probably not a good match.
And your winners, the Rockville Posse.
But it was fun. The Moss cards were a blast.
Everything has its beginning. It was kind of the beginning, I guess, of what became the EWA. At that point, you guys had no idea that this EWA thing was going to, be what it was.
That's probably the first time we did it in front of a camera. That's what made it special.
Love you, Mom.
I wish we could have stayed in Moss even a few more cards.
Anyways, that's how we got to wrestling at Moss, which was a good place to wrestle, really. If we could have kept sitting up there, it would have been a good place.
Things really started to click about that time, and we realized that EWA wasn't something that was going to slow down. If anything, it was only going to build more steam.
Hey, motherfucker!
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Second for fastest stereo.